Well, hey, what's up? Pastor Matt here. Hey, great question. What does it mean to be confessional? Maybe you've heard that term bandied about a bit on Twitter or Facebook. What does it mean to be confessional, to belong to a confessional church or denomination? Well, great question. Glad you asked. Maybe it sounds kind of morbid, confessing like we're just like overrun with our guilt all the time. But no, actually, to confess has two little parts to it. Con means together, and fe means to believe. And so when we confess, we are believing and ascribing to the same things. So, for instance, as being a Presbyterian myself, we confess not only the Scriptures as the final authority, of course, for all faith, doctrine, and life, but mutually together we agree upon the Westminster Standards as our doctrinal statement for our churches. And so if you're a Presbyterian, you've got this whole book right here, the main confession and two catechisms, larger and shorter. And what they do is they define, not only for us, but for those who are not among us, what we actually believe. So you could, for instance, debate with us on any one of the topics that are contained in the Westminster Standards. But at least you know what we believe on justification, what we believe on sanctification, what we believe about the return of Christ, what we believe about the Sabbath day or the sacraments or baptism. It's all set forth in the confessional standards. And so, of course, the beauty of that is you go to one church or another in our denomination or in our historic movement, you should know what you're getting: a Protestant, Orthodox, doctrinally well-defined ecclesiastical union and fellowship. And so we confess the Westminster Standards. Now, that's not the only historic confessional document to which churches that are confessional may subscribe. There are, for instance, those churches that are part of what we call the Reformed tradition, which differs from Presbyterianism in its confessional standards. The three forms of unity are subscribed to by several other denominations, the Christian Reformed Church, for instance, the Reformed Church in America. Here we're talking about the Belgic Confession, the Canons of Dort, and of course the Heidelberg Catechism. So different confessional books, but nevertheless you get the same idea that we have a confessional doctrinal standard to which we uphold. Now, if you're from or part of a 1689 Baptist church, then you too have a confessional standard. It's the Baptist Confession, London Confession, 1689, very much like the Westminster Confession, but a few things changed in regard to baptism. We'll argue about that on another time. But once again, you would know what the church believes about a variety of topics: the Trinity, the inspiration of Scripture, what happens when we die, heaven and hell. All those things are defined for us in these historic documents called the Confessions. Now, you may ask, okay, well, why should I have a historic confession as over against like a modern day statement of faith? Well, good question. I don't see anything wrong with modern day statements of faith, but the historic confessions at least have the advantage of being tested and tried over time, so that multiple generations of Christians not only confessing the same thing in that particular church building, right, but also throughout the generations. And so the historic confessions, Lutheranism has theirs as well with the Augsburg Confession. Church of England has the 39 Articles. At least these things we can debate about the particular topics or define, various words differently. But at least you know what you're getting, not only now, but ubiquitously around the world, and then also chronologically through the generations. So here's my challenge to you. If you're not part of a confessional church, why not? Because we have a statement of faith, and it's this long, and it's on page 12 of our website. Okay, that's cool. But let me ask you this. How important is doctrine in your church? If it's important, you should be able to go to your website and find your statement of faith, and believe it or not, but many churches hide that. They don't want to define these things clearly. They don't want to define them well for either those who are seeking or those who are comparing churches. They want to put those things away, almost like they were embarrassed of them. And so I would simply say that confessional churches are those churches which have a historically moored confessional orthodox standard to which not only their ministers, but hopefully their members subscribe as well. So that's the definition of confessional. I hope that helped. Hey, by the way, if you're interested in getting the Westminster Confession of Faith, or this other guy right here, the three forms of unity, including the Heidelberg Catechism, I will post a link to these great historic books in the description, toggle down, of this video. Thanks for checking in. Love you lots. Subscribe if you want. Don't if you don't. Doesn't matter to me. But I love you lots, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.